Hey friends, welcome to another episode of the 10 Laws Podcast with East Forest. I'm Mr. Forest. Thank you for joining us. This week I have a story of how the Headwaters album came to be. It's a really unusual story, at least I think so, and the context of the happening definitely will inform the listening of it, but I think it has some interesting nuggets whether you were to hear the music or not. So I'm joined in this conversation by my sweetheart, Marissa Rada-Wepner, and we get to talk about all things Headwaters, how that happened, and the story of that evening, because it was recorded in one evening in a site-specific place. We recorded this outside here at our house before the tour, and it was a beautiful fall evening, and so, we can't report on what's happening in real time. I tried to stack some of these podcasts in advance before the tour, because right now, God willing, we're on tour. And that goes from November 1st until the 20th. So we got a couple more dates if you're listening to this, and we hope to see you. Everything from Santa Fe and Phoenix over to Austin, Texas, where we'll be ending. And I'm very much looking forward to sharing this ceremony concert series with you. In a lot of ways, the ceremony concert is indicative of what happened in this Headwaters recording, but it was in a private setting and not in a typical performance space. It was in a private home up on a mountain, over a sunset with friends and some strangers there too, but a small group. But you're going to hear the story here, so we'll let you do that. But thanks to everyone who's been able to make the tour and for spreading the word and all the lovely faces. I'm sure it's been awesome. I'll be able to talk more about it. Maybe next week we'll be able to put a podcast out about it. But go to eastforest.org/tour and you can learn more about tickets and things like that. Thanks to everyone on the council for supporting this podcast. It's patreon.com/eastforest. That is the East Forest Council on Patreon. We do all sorts of fun things over there. If you have the ability to support, thank you so much. And for everyone who's on the council, thank you. Thank you so much for being part of this community together. And Journey Space, don't forget about Journey Space. It's an online platform for journeying, online facilitation, a music guidance library. I'm probably going to add the Headwaters album in there too, because although you might be able to hear that particular album on like Spotify or Apple, it's by using it within Journey Space and paying the appropriate little couple bucks license, you're then able to use it for commercial purposes in your psychedelic business or massage business, things like that. People might not think about that, but it's a way to get the proper rights for music use. So, check it out, journeyspace.com. More than anything, it's a platform to help you and provide resources and support for your journeys. Okay, friends, last thing I'm going to say is as the holidays are coming up, hope you have a great Thanksgiving and all that, and all the other holidays that we celebrate or you may celebrate. But if you're looking for gifts, this would be a great time to think about some of the East Forest merch, if that's another way we can support the project with our perfume oils, whatever vinyl we've got going or garments. Check it out. That's all at eastforest.org. Okay, let's get into this conversation to tell you the story of the magic of Headwaters. Cool.
Cool.
So, the Headwaters album.
Headwaters, named after a place called Headwaters.
Yep. So I just wanted to take some time because it's kind of a cool happening how it came to be. It wasn't your average, definitely wasn't a studio record.
No, we've covered before what a studio record is in previous podcasts.
Yeah, and it also came into being because I was playing a concert essentially for one of your retreats.
Yeah, it was a little bit of like, I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine, where you were like, I asked you, I said, sweetheart, sweetie, hey. I waited till you were in a really good mood and you were relaxed. And I approached you with the idea of...
Well, what was the idea?
Providing music.
Let's get some context going.
That was the context.
Oh.
The context of the context.
Mm-hmm.
I was leading a retreat for my yoga teacher training students in Boulder, Utah at the ranch where we lead our East Forest retreats.
Previously.
where we have in the past. Many
Yeah,
of you have been
yeah.
there. So fun. And I was bringing my yoginis down for a retreat, and I asked you if you would perform for us while we were there. And in the past, we've always had you perform in what we call the saloon, which is a place on the ranch that's set up for music performances and is amazing, and ceremonies are there.
Yeah, it has a nice sound system for dance parties or front of house sound system for performances.
It's great.
Yeah.
And you wanted to make it fresh. So you're like, yeah, I'll play for your yoginis if we can maybe do it a little bit differently. What about we do it at the Headwaters? Because at this other property in Boulder, there's a beautiful piano that you love, and you don't get many opportunities to share that piano with others.
Right. And that's really what was the impetus for the whole thing.
Yeah, the piano.
There's this beautiful piano there. It's called the C. Bechstein piano. It's made in East Germany, and there aren't many. They're just excellent instruments. Instruments that come from European pianos are great, but I kind of feel like the Eastern European ones are really special. Anyway, we could talk about why that piano's even there in the first place.
There's a home on this ranch. It's a cattle ranch.
Yep.
It's the Headwaters of, the Escalante? No, that can't be true. It's the Headwaters of what?
No, well, a lot of those, so it's owned by Ron Johnson, our dear friend.
Shout out to Ron, we love
supporter.
you.
And Boulder Mountain goes up to 11,000 feet, and a lot of the waters that come out of there become tributaries for things like the Colorado River.
Okay.
So, which is pretty amazing to think about.
Yeah.
So it is a spot that is the headwaters for things like, I think Deer Creek starts just above it, and I think there's 3 waterways and maybe even a spring that starts there.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's the waterfall. What's so funny is I just saw a video of myself from the first time I went there in 2017. There's a little hike up to the Headwaters waterfall.
Yeah.
Yeah, of myself sitting there. Randomly, I came across that.
Cool.
So anyways, this property has the Headwaters. It's a ranch. There's a beautiful home there. In this beautiful home is this piano.
Yeah, and I'd say it's a couple hundred acres of land. It's at about 7,500 feet, so it's really high up. Gets a lot of snow in the winter. Imagine you can see Boulder Mountain outside the windows of this house, and then a large field, which right now has about 100 cattle on it that are grass-fed. And then there's also pinyon pine and some ponderosa pines that make up the national forest in the boundary. Mm-hmm. A lot of elk come through there, a lot of wildlife. It's a place very alive with the weather. Big storms come through. It's very, very beautiful, very peaceful energy I find there.
Yeah, and it's a big open room. And I had about 12 yoginis with me on my retreat, but additionally, my bestie, Celeste Bolin, who I do a lot of retreats with, she brought down with my daughter Maya a group of, was it 6 or 8?
I don't know.
Teens?
It seemed like a lot. They were teenagers, teenage girls.
Well, theys and she's.
Sorry.
Thems and she's.
Teenage youth.
Came down.
I don't think there was anyone that identified as a man.
No,
So,
there was not.
Regardless, they're teenagers.
There was like a co-retreat of teenagers with my daughter helping to facilitate with my best friends. They had the youth contingent, and I had the yoginis, and we were bringing the kids there and the yogis for this experience with you. And then you invited local friends as well.
Well, sure. It's not a big town, 200 people or so. And so I was like, if we're going to go to the trouble of doing this concert event, ceremony, what we want to call it, opened it up to just a few key friends in town. And so that's who's in the room. Maybe 30, 40 people in total. Anyway, this is good because I think the context is actually important to understanding the music that emerged. So for myself, all I knew is I felt a calling and an urge to do an improvisational style concert/ceremony focusing on that piano. Mm-hmm. And I don't, how do I put this? I don't consider myself a highly technical piano player. I just love pianos. I love the sound they make. I love to make sound with them. But I haven't done maybe ever, a concert where I'm just like, I'm going to play piano for y'all. Like,
Well, you do that a little bit now.
now, you see, this was a big moment for me.
Okay.
This is a big moment.
Because this is the summer. It was the summer of 2020.
Was it?
Yeah, it was June. No, it was mid-July 2020.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it was. Mid-July
Mm-hmm.
of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, all the COVID things and whatnot were happening. I had already had this retreat planned. We decided to move forward with it.
Yeah. Right. So I wanted to do it, and I set up my I set up my Nord setup, my looping setup adjacent to the piano, thinking I could make like just some really gentle pads or little loops that I could play on top of. And that was the main approach. And it was difficult to rehearse for this. I could only get in there a couple times because our friend Lance lives in this house.
Mm-hmm.
And Lance, every time I'd come in to rehearse, it would be like watching golf or something on the couch or, you know, shouting at the UPS driver, where's his package? Or I love Lance, but I'm just saying, like, I felt like I was intruding.
Yeah.
And I needed to find a space and then start playing and singing and exploring an area I didn't know well.
Which I imagine is vulnerable for you, and you kind of don't want Lance hanging around.
Of course not. No, but I also didn't want to kick him out. And then on top of that, you know, it takes 20, 30 minutes to get there, and then you have to set up, and then you have to go home. It's like, it's kind of a half your day. And then you get up there and you're like, oh, this isn't going to work out. And moreover, I only had a week, maybe.
True.
You know, so basically, I couldn't really get the kind of rehearsal I like for the event, which added to the nerves. And you put it all together, I was very, very nervous.
I remember.
And that's a sign that it's a deep edge for me.
Yeah.
I mean, boy, was it an edge. And my edge was, part of it was the rehearsal thing. I'm like, I'm doing a bunch of stuff here I don't really feel comfortable in yet. And two, the teenagers in the room.
I know, they made you very nervous.
They do.
Because
Yeah.
you felt like they don't want to be here, they won't care, they're going to want to talk or be on their phones or fall asleep. And what happened? Was that true?
No. Everyone was beautiful. But before we get into the concert,
okay.
Yes, I was fearful of judgment and like not being able to hold their attention with something so slow, that what I perceived to be slow and patient. Because it felt like it needed to be exploratory, the music. And I was like, that takes time sometimes to find the pocket. And when you're in a ceremony space with plant medicine, I feel we have all the time in the world because of the plant medicine. And in some ways, the time is good. Take your time.
We should have dosed all the teens then. Just kidding.
Just kidding. But in this space, let's call it a hybrid, sort of like the public events where, you know, I don't know, people come and it was also a shorter event.
It was a couple hours.
Right. But I didn't even know how long it'd be.
No.
And some people were just chilling and some people maybe did take medicine. Point is, not everyone's in that space.
Right. It's a mixed bag.
Right. And so you have this interesting mixture of people you're trying to hold their attention with music.
Mm.
So,
and some, it's the first time they've ever heard you. And some are
Right.
longtime fans. Like Ron's in the room,
yeah,
who's
and
heard
friends,
you
yeah.
a million times.
I think Lance was in his bed. What I thought was interesting. He's like, you're so close. You could just come into the room. But,
I kind of props for that. It's like, go be comfortable. You can hear it. Yeah, lay down.
but I was so nervous. I was really feeling like I might fall on my face completely. And I just have to be like, you know what, guys? I thought I'd taken a risk here and it didn't work out.
Can I just say something then? I just want to honor you for your bravery.
Are we being serious?
Of course. Of course I am.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, you're saying how really terrified you were, and you did it anyways. You're like,
Yeah.
I might fall on
man,
my face, but gosh darn it, Radha's counting on me. Everybody's here. I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to take a risk.
Yeah.
And I'm so scared.
Man, I just thinking about it, I just remember the whole week I just felt on edge. I remember being in my men's group that week and talking to them about it. I was like, I feel like I'm at way up there on anxiety about this, and it just started to bleed into other things and how I felt.
As it happens, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I honor you for your bravery.
thank you.
Your
Thanks.
skillfulness.
Let's set the stage. So now it's the night of, and it was probably near sunset, just before or something. And we're all gathered. It's a beautiful evening. The door is open. We're in a big room with vaulted ceilings and the piano's on one side. It's almost an 7 foot 9 inches, beautiful, as I said, piano. It's a beautiful instrument. It's just, I really learned something a long time ago. This is going to be obvious, but the value of a great instrument and how that alone is sort of what makes the music so wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
It can feed, the simplest things can be so musical. And you don't have to be, it's not the flourishes, it's about the tone and the sound. And so I remember standing up and saying, hey, everybody, I'm nervous, but this is about this piano. And I kind of just talked a little bit about just, there's nothing really amplified in the room except for these little gentle pads I'm going to make. But it's just coming out of this piano. There's tens of thousands of moving parts in this. Wonderfully crafted little wood and shuffling percussive hammers and just what that meant and what we're actually hearing in the room. And it set the stage in that way for myself and for everyone. And then I remember I walked over and started some kind of little basic pad. And I played the first chord. And it's what you hear on the record on the first song. So I did edit down the record to about 45 minutes, but I think I played a bit longer than that. And I just remember the moment I played that first chord, it felt like magic. And I realized what the role of the audience is. Like all week, the rehearsals had just felt like garbage. There's no magic. I just I don't know. I don't know. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, I'm being fed the gift of these people's beautiful attention.
Well, you spoke to that too. You spoke in your opening, like, please give me your attention.
Yeah, but I felt
this is really important to me. And then they did that. They were like, okay.
And I was discovering in real time the result.
Yes.
Which, to me, that's why it was such a special moment in time. And that's why the music flourished, because it was a kind of concentration of people's attention. I know that happens, you'd think, all the time at concerts, but you'd be surprised how people don't actually pay attention.
Well, that's not surprising. We see that all the time when we go to shows at bars or nightclubs, and there's the jabber or the people that coming in and out are just like, they're not focused on the performer or the performance. And the performer or the performance, they have to do a lot to really pull the attention in.
Right. So this was showing just that, the power.
Is that noise bothering you?
No. What noise? You mean the background noise?
Yeah.
Oh, it's fine. We'll deal. I mean, So just to let people know, we're recording outside with a little mobile setup.
Yeah, we're on the lanai.
Yeah. we're in the fall. The sun's about to go down.
Final
we're going to have to
remnants.
stop when that sun goes behind that because it'll get quite
so
cold.
Warm.
So from there, I just remember feeling grateful and just many times in the pocket, just like, wow, whoa, here we are. One of those moments. I remember, and it got dark, and there was this bat that was like by the window, and you could hear like all the crickets and things outside because the windows were cracked behind me. And I just remember it feeling like a really, really special evening of music. So I had mic'd up the piano. I think I had about, 1, 2, 3, maybe 5 mics on the piano, plus my vocal mic, and then the 2 lines coming out of the Nord. So I had this 8-channel or something recording. I just had a kind of a basic recording setup there. And I had this recording, and I was like, well, I should play around with this, see what's going on in there. I did, put it together, became an album called The Headwaters. We were just finding the right time to put it out. It's 4 songs. Our friends at Calm put it out inside the Calm app first. And then
that happened months ago.
Yeah, just a little bit. And they were kind enough to be like, yeah, and you can, it doesn't have to be exclusive. You can put it out. And I was like, good, because I want to. I want to share it with
Would you say it's a mini
everyone.
Ceremony album?
I think of it as like a hybrid. I think that it is imbued with the ceremony energy, so I think it would work well.
Well, it was in a ceremony.
Right. But it was
recorded it.
Right, but it was in that hybrid sense, kind of like the ceremony concert tour.
Yeah.
So in that way, yeah. I mean, there are differences, of course, but my plan and thought is going to be to also include this record as an hour-long piece. I'll stretch it out with some field recording interstitial pieces, maybe an introduction for Journey Space. I think it'd be a really nice 1-hour journey.
Okay, so you could use it then.
I think so, yeah. I mean, bottom line is I haven't tried it yet, and you haven't, but I'm pretty confident because of how it was made, improvisational and in a ceremonial context. Those are sort of my guiding principles for creating music for ceremony use, journey use.
And the participants in that moment, they were certainly on a journey. I mean, it worked in the moment, real time, then.
Yeah.
Deep experiences, sober or, elevated. And the teens really loved it.
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed how they were feeling really emotional, seeing some tears. They're kind of in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And that was touching to me, but also it taught me some things about, I think I had that idea in my head, like, oh, this music's for adults.
Until that moment?
Well, I can't really think of a time. We've had the odd child or kid or this or that at concerts, but it's different than a group, especially a group that your daughter and it's her friends. So it just,
you were expecting them to get sassy.
Well, yeah, and I also, the teenage judgmental. Like, I know the kind of music that Maya at the time was into. It's like Lizzo, and I don't know what else, but I know Lizzo.
She loves the Grateful Dead.
Now, not at the time. That hadn't manifested through her boyfriend
not as
yet.
Fully as it is now, but just accept that they respect you too.
Well, I had to earn that respect, and I appreciate them giving me the attention that I could step up to the plate. And it's a real example and homage to the power of our attention. Just another one, and the gift that it is, and what it can do for creators, what it does for anyone, for anything. Probably even not people things, right? I mean, this is ancient wisdom. Energy flows where attention goes. It's just, those are pointed ways where, as a creator, I felt it so strongly. I was like, oh my God, this is like, why did I not know that? Or I had to, it's hard to trust that until it's happening.
So what you realized is, if folks give me their attention, then...
Sort of the more attention you're given, it's a kind of fuel.
Yes.
It's an absolute fuel for creativity.
I would say, let me work this out. I would say in the same way, when an artist seems like to the crowd, their attention, the artist's attention is very focused. It amplifies what the audience is able
It's a conversation.
to give back.
Totally.
I've never been a Tori Amos fan, ever. There's actually, I don't know, I have judgment against it.
She's very talented.
Being a teenager.
Yeah.
Yes, when she was at peak moment.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember once watching her perform, and the intensity at which she performed, I was like, oh, this is why people are into her.
She performs sideways.
Well, it's almost like she's getting off on the piano bench. Like, there's so much energy. There's so much energy happening.
Yeah.
In her that it was just like an aha for me.
Well, you ever seen video of Keith Jarrett playing piano?
Yeah, he stands up on the piano bench.
He's standing and sitting and gyrating his whole body. It looks so painful.
So it pulls you in as an audience member.
Yeah.
And then it's like a feedback loop.
It's a vector point or something. It's like a vortex for you to sucked into that thing, if you allow it, if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
There is absolutely an element of choice here, and it just goes back to recognizing the things that we unconsciously give our attention to, and the power that it's giving that, and how it changes ourselves and other beings. But I would imagine in yogic texts, and there's a lot about, this is the basics in a lot of ways.
Well, what you said, where the mind goes, prana flows, that is an ancient yogic text.
Yeah.
Energy goes where the mind goes.
Us Weekly from the Upanishads. Can you imagine? It's just all like yogis at the grocery store, but drawings.
Because they didn't
look at his tunic or whatever.
You're funny.
Yogananda getting fat,
Oh, like bad cartoons?
It's like an
political
Us Weekly,
cartoons.
but back then they had to draw pictures.
Oh, because they didn't have photographs.
Right.
Now I get you.
So paparazzi drawers. They're just following around, drawing as fast as they can.
Well, that got amplified with the printing press.
New fashion.
That was like political revolution, was the printing press and political cartoons.
It's the beginning of the end. No.
Exactly.
Well, really, it's our path of progress the progress. The path is windy. But I'm just happy that the album is out, and I wanted to. Thank you for talking about it, because I wanted to provide a little context. It's always better in conversation than just yapping about it. And
yeah, you bet.
it's not. Of course, you can just listen to it, and you don't need context. But I think it has. Hearing the story of how that was made, it was a happening, in a sense.
And it's only 4 tracks too.
4 tracks, 45 minutes, and it's very gentle and spacious and minimalist. And so sometimes I hear it and I think like, oh, I could do this or that. But I'm like, well, look, it was live, it was improvised, and that's what came out. I don't know. And I like how a place, like a sense of place, informs music or creativity or art. And that would, to me, is a lot about the place of the people and the physical location of that land. And that energy, I have a lot of history too at that place.
Yeah.
I lived there for a whole season. I go there all the time, but I lived there for a season. And so I really felt like I got to sink in with that spot a bit. And I find it to be very, very blissful energy.
In the album?
And on the land.
Oh, on the land.
Yeah, that land.
Yes,
It's totally blissful.
It's very calming. We spent Thanksgiving there.
Yeah, with your mom
and my
your brother. Yeah, she stayed there too for a couple days.
Yeah, we had Thanksgiving in the shop.
I love the shop. I do, because it's like a loft and it's a workspace and it has one of those garage door things you can,
That was our COVID Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
November of 2020.
That was great.
In the shop at Headwaters.
I like that. Yeah, I remember at the end of the night of the concert, it was really dark. It was up there especially.
Yeah.
And I was loading out. Everyone had left. Even you had left. You just left. I was loading my truck, and just Ron is there with Brandy. And oh my God, this is mortifying. I have various pieces of luggage and cases that have my gear, right? And one of them is this carry-on that was blue that I had. That's all the like important stuff, and that's why I carry it on airplanes.
And you've had it for how long?
I had it maybe 10 years or something.
No.
Maybe more.
Lewis remembers it from New York.
Yeah.
It was your dad's luggage.
Yeah. He gave it to me. I needed something so I could start going to ceremonies at the farm way back, and I just kept using it because
your first piece of travel gear for East Forest.
It's just regular. It's a Rick Steves bag. It has like hard sides, plastic on the inside, but it's a soft on the top. It's a roller bag.
It's a dad bag.
2 wheels. Anyway, I used it because it worked, and I could fit my things in like in this geometry that the TSA would always freak out. You put that thing through the X-ray, and they're just like, "What? What are you doing?"
A little pause.
I'm like, "What are you doing?" And they're like, "Sir, you are hindering my job," and I'm not hindering your job. I'm asking you a question. What are you doing? You asked me what I'm doing. I'm traveling.
Hey, take it down a notch.
I get worked up.
I know. But just pausing your story for a second.
Yeah.
We've noticed you've had less TSA checks. I wonder if it's because you changed the bag.
A little bit, because let's talk about why I have a new bag. Because that's what I'm getting to.
Okay.
So that night, that bag, I placed it next to the truck. It was like, because it's important. It's like
the most important.
The last one that'll go in, blah, blah, blah. It's the one I never leave out of my sight, yada, yada. And so I get in the truck, and I start backing up, and I hear the old crunch sound, and like I hit something. And I know where I am. I'm in this like open parking lot. There's no bush or there's nothing I could hit. And I'm just like, oh no. Oh no. And Ron heard it too. He was in his truck too. And he was pulling out. He gets out. He's like, did you, what happened? And I was like, I walk over and I see my blue bag off. No. Like I'd run it over partially. Oh, God. And I'm just like, why? Why? And Ron's like, oh no. I'm like, it's okay, Ron, but it's not okay. Like, I just did this whole concert for you, and now I'm like, I ran it over, and like.
It's like running over your child.
Yeah.
It's a very big deal.
Yeah. And I went home, and I'm just like, I assessed the damage. The bag's destroyed, and I had cracked like my audio interface, and but amazingly, nothing else seemed to be smashed. Just that. And so I remember like emailing the company. It's like, is this broke? It still works, but because the screen doesn't work anymore. And they're like, I think it's okay. It's just cosmetic. Anyway, point is, I had to get a new bag. So I did get a new bag finally.
Which we'd been asking for years. This bag is kind of like a blankie. That's how it seems and looks. Like a blankie you've had for most of your life.
It just worked. But the new one, I think maybe I get a little less stuff because it's a tiny bit smaller, and I've had to pack things in a way. I made sort of Kaizen foam things, so it's a little more organized.
Well, you would get stopped pretty much every time through TSA with this blue bag.
Yes, and every single TSA person had a different lecture. And after they finished with their lectures, they ask me what kind of DJ I am. And we have to go through that thing. And a lot of times I'd be like, reggaeton, I'm just going to another gig. He'd be like, sweet. And they always would be like, you'd always be the musician dudes or gals. They'd be like, dude, I make some music too. It's pretty awesome. Like, let me look you up, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what's your music name?
You're making contacts in the TSA line.
We're networking.
Okay.
This is like LinkedIn.
So now do you miss it then, being stopped every time you go through TSA?
No, but I am still stopped.
Not nearly as much.
Well, anyway. So, I don't know. Maybe that was a gift. That was like, I don't know, but it was a gift,
Well, the gift is you're not carrying your blankie around anymore, and you have a better looking piece of luggage, and you're not getting stopped.
The new one's made of metal. I don't know if that would have stopped the truck rolling over it, but it's like got a hard side all the way around.
Which is kind of what you wanted.
And I'm sure there's listeners out there being like, why don't you just get a Pelican case? And there are reasons. They're boring. You don't want to know. It's too small, too heavy,
looked
blah,
into
blah,
it.
blah. Yeah. They're quite small, actually.
He looks into all the options.
I don't like it. Believe me, it's the thing I like least about this job is what I've had to do logistically for traveling. It can be very difficult with flights to figure out how to get your gear from A to B.
Well, I think most people have turned off the podcast by now.
Anyway, Headwaters was out on 11/11 if all went according to plan, which is an auspicious date. Before we close, may I ask you, does 11/11 have any meaning for you?
I mean...
Do you play with that number? Do you see it?
I think any repeating number, because...
Any repeating number?
Yeah. You can look at as significant. It's like, 444, 555.
It's like a wink?
333, 222, 11.
You got a thing with 27, too.
Yeah, but that's my personal jazzy
the others
number.
Are more general.
Yeah, these are generalized. I guess people call them angel numbers, if we want to go there.
Let's not. Let's be frank. The angels aren't fucking around with numbers. They're just like...
Well, it's I understand the sentiment. Message.
No, I'm joking. I understand the sentiment. That's exactly, to me, what it feels like. It's a synchronistic wink.
Tell us about your connection to 11/11, because you've got a deep connection.
Well, it's just that. It's just that I feel like I've seen it at so many moments of poignancy that it's almost become laughable. And everyone's like, of course, because it was 11/11. I'm like, it's not that. Yeah, it's odd that I see it at all, because it could be 11/12 or 11/10. And I understand confirmation bias, but it's more like, truthfully, there have been so many moments when that moment happens. It's when I'm saying something or something is happening or something is said to me or an email is opened or I have a certain feeling that's a culmination of something that it's just like, the more I've leaned into that communication avenue, I feel like the more it's used to speak with me in a very beautiful, subtle, playful way.
Can you give us an example?
It happens so often that I just...
I've got one.
I think it happened today, actually. The 11/11 today hit me. I usually see it as like whatever I'm doing, I just kind of pay more attention. It's like, oh.
Do you make any sounds? Because I do like a ringing of a bell sound.
Yeah, you go ding, ding.
I do. Like, ding, ding, ding.
It's like Vegas for you.
No, it's more like the wrestling ring. It's like a turnbuckle ring, actually, if you want to know. Like, fight.
Oh, yeah. So it's a fight.
Well, it's just an indicator of a moment. Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
That's my 11/11 sound.
You also do a gesture in the air, I think, and turn your head to the side.
Yeah, that's a celebration. I think that's the TKO.
What does that have to do with it? It's like a thing in the ring?
I have no idea why this comes out of me.
I thought it was just Trader Joe's ringing the bell.
That's what you thought about me?
No, I'm joking.
No, it's an implicit response. It means it just arises by itself every time 11/11 happens for me. I put my hands in the air, I do a little dance, turn my head to the side, and say ding, ding, ding.
It's happened with us. Like we're in a conversation or something, and I'm like, I was like, it just turned 11:11. You'll be like, ding ding, ding 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 ding, hey ya.
I don't know. What happened for you today? This morning.
I think I was. Let's see. I was rehearsing perhaps, and it was just one of those things where like a magical moment, and I don't recall checking the time other times, and I was like, it was sort of a confirmation of that moment. And yeah, I've been playing a lot with feeling held and giving it over to Maharaji, to something larger, to the universe itself, not holding the grip so tight. And so those are ways of feeling that you're heard.
It's a wink. And I gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm holding you.
Perhaps. Yeah.
I see you. I see you, Krishna.
I receive it. I receive that gift. So, look, it can be whatever you want it to be. I think that's the joy of it. Perhaps you're communicating with yourself, in a sense. I don't mean that to be right or wrong.
Well, I would say you are communicating with yourself, because that's all that there is.
Well, thanks. Anything else we need to say before we sign off?
Shh, Pepper, stop barking.
Yeah. Pepper the dog.
She's protecting us, actually.
Yeah. She's killing some bad guys right now. Thank God.
Do I need to say anything else? No, I'm just looking forward to Headwaters. Nice date, picking 11/11.
It actually kind of just happened.
How so?
Well, it was supposed to be released months ago, so forth and so on, and it's been back and forth. I won't go through all the stuff on the back end. That's not fun. But eventually I said, like, I'd like to get this out. And October couldn't happen. I said, let's get it out in November, and it was suggested we could do the 11th. And I was like, perfect.
Well, this is a confirmation that you can trust the process and give in, because you were trying to push to have it be done earlier and get out earlier.
Yeah,
when you finally surrendered, it ended up on 11/11. So Isn't that beautiful?
It is.
Yeah.
Sure hope that happened. This is being recorded in advance, but
it'll come out.
It'd be amazing if it didn't.
Where's the album, yo?
It's like, what are you guys even talking about? But thanks to Calm for putting it in Calm. That was fun too. And I hope you all enjoy it. Let us know what you think. Check out Marissa Rada-Wepner if you'd like to have some coaching or some, what else do you offer? Don't hire her. She's too busy. That's the message. Do not go to MarissaRadaWepner.com. She's too busy.
I'm trying to slow down and simplify.
Too many people want to hire you. You're great.
11/11, 2020. Oh, wait. No, it was 2021.
Ding, ding.
Sorry. I'm getting dates confused. We were actually in the Headwaters in 2021.
That sounds right.
Yeah. It wasn't 2020.
It wasn't the beginning of the pandemic.
No, you're right. It was 2021.
Because you did a retreat.
Yes. I was going to say 11/11/2020 is when I started my yoga teacher training group, this 300-hour group that I'm finishing up. And I just want to say congrats to them, because we just finished our last module together, and now they are 500-hour yoga teachers, and it's been such a joy and a treat and just a beautiful experience.
Well, shout out to them, because that's sort of how this happened. And
shout out to them.
And Benji, your son, was almost born on 11/11, and you were trying to hold your birth to make it happen.
His birthday is 11/10.
11. I know. And you were I just like put
some. No, that's not true. What actually happened is I went into labor on like the 8th.
Oh, that's a problem.
Or the 9th.
Yeah.
I was in labor like 40 hours. And on 11/10, I had even forgotten that 11/11
You didn't know what day it is.
Yeah. I was not even thinking about days. I was just thinking, get this baby out of my body. That's what I was thinking, as quickly as possible, because it's been a very long time. So he was born on 11/10/11. And then afterwards, it's like, shoot, you needed to hang in there a lot longer. You forgot about 11/11.
Yeah.
You probably could have done it.
You could have just told him, you know what? You were born on 11/11.
Well, for the longest time, I confused his birthday, and I would say he's born 11/11.
Well, it's all Gregorian, whatever.
He's in the window of 11/11.
There you go.
He's only a few hours shy.
He's 11/11 adjacent.
Hey, and he's going to be 11 this year.
Oh my God.
11,
ding, ding.
11.
Ding, ding. All right, folks. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you soon. Thanks for all the support. And for the last few dates on this tour, we hope to see you. You can go to eastforest.org and see what kind of tickets we got. And we hope you have a great holiday there after that. Keep walking your walk. Thank you, Radha. Thank you. Always good to talk. We'll do another proper Radha Krishna roundtable sometime soon and get into her world more as well. This song that you're hearing in the background is called Requiem, and it is the last song on the Headwaters album. If you want to hear it in better fidelity, you can download it from the Bandcamp at eastforest.org, which is in full 24-bit. But even like a lot of things like Apple now are lossless, or Tidal and so forth. You can better than this podcast audio, I'll tell you that much. But thanks for listening. Let us know what you think. info@eastforest.org or just on the socials. Until then, you guys keep walking your walk. Don't take any shit, but if you do, just do it with grace.
Say